Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, shunashumme, washmale, ohaya gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, halishuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swavi of, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, at the core of my heart, I believe, and this is what I want to believe as well, that everybody out there who's actually tuned into PTV World right now are doing just fine, are in good health, and they're looking after everybody who resides within their house as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that we are actually going through a pandemic. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are getting tested. A lot of people are showing up as positive with coronavirus. But then at the same time, I think what we really need to do is that we really need to pray to Allah Almighty so that we can actually be at ease and be very peaceful wherever we are. But in the first place, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we need to dig in a little more. And it's because of the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, that this particular disease became a pandemic just because of the mere negligence of people who actually had or were positive with this disease. Initially, nobody knew, but unfortunately, this is how things have turned out. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think, and I'm not sure whether I should believe in it or not, but more than 195 countries have actually shown the status and the data that the coronavirus exists over there. So pretty much there's no place on this planet where you can actually escape from this pandemic. May you be very rich or may you be very poor. But then at the same time, yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, we were actually in conversation with people who just entered in a new venture, which was the Insaf Welfare Wing, and they told us what they're actually doing in Gilgit-Baltistan and elsewhere to make sure that people get the apt support which they require in these times. But other than that, I think me and my producer were in conversation. We thought that we really need to talk about mental health issues, and it's because of the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, we as human beings are social beings as well. So all of a sudden, when we are told that you really need to sit back at home, a guy like me, I think that it's very troublesome. And since I was traveling and I was in quarantine, so I could actually now differentiate in between the kind of mental health I had while I was roaming around and while I was just in my room by myself. Even though I was working out, even though I was making sure that I pray 5 times a day, there was still a difference. And just a few days ago when we started doing live shows, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time when I realized, oh, my brain opened up. So not just that, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that there are people who are doctors, big respect to all of them as well. There are people, for example, armed forces, police, the hospital staff, my camera staff, people in my MCR. These are the frontline warriors. And every single day, ladies and gentlemen, believe me that whenever I wake up and whenever I'm leaving for work, my mother and father are actually looking at me from a distance and telling me in a way that, if it's not necessary, you really do not have to go. And I know that they're very right at this. But then at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, I think everybody needs to play their role. And that's how doctors are doing it. That's how police officers are doing it. That's how army officials are doing it. But then eventually, at the same time, I think that all of this is having an impact on their mental health. Now, what do we really need to do about it? And it's because of the fact that over here in Pakistan, unfortunately, mental health issues are not taken very seriously or not even detected. And people who have those mental health issues label it with some other terms as well, jadoo ho gaya, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya, and not go to the person who's actually going to look after you, for example, a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But now today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to focus on all of those people. First of all, who are the frontline warriors. We're going to focus on children because they were habitual of spending 3 months at home, but they weren't really habitual of spending 5 months just at their home because they cannot go see their cousins cannot come over. And this is a message for everybody out there as well. If you think that your brothers and sisters can come over for a meal, for dinner, or your parents, please don't do this. This is that time where we really need to be by the line. We need to go by the code of conduct over here. We need to be ethical so that we do not put anybody at risk. I think that's something very important. And not just that, for people who are elderly, who are at home, who are thinking that they are the most vulnerable to this disease, what do you think that we need to do about them? And as far as all of those news channels and all of those channels which I am looking at, I don't think that there's been any such consultation. So today, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're even watching it in repeat, we did it live, obviously in the morning. So we are actually going to let you know what to do and what kind of mental health issues you can actually face, how to overcome that, and when is that time when you actually need to call your psychiatrist or your doctor as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very glad that we have been joined by these frontline warriors over here. And, you know, just after the interview, they actually have to go back to their hospitals as well. So I'm going to make sure that the conversation is a little crisp and a little funny too as well, because you know, there's this one interesting topic which we were discussing beforehand, and I do not want to give it away because of the fact that Dr. Saab would be like, you know, I was telling you this and that you have given it somewhere else. So I'm just going to give you a hint. So there's this figure which we use, figure of speech, honeymoon period. I'm going to talk about that as well. But honeymoon period within quarantine and lockdowns and all of this, how does that make sense? This is something which we're going to ask. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm very lucky that I actually got to host this amazing team of psychiatrists and psychologists. Ladies and gentlemen, the team is actually headed by somebody who's the professor of psychiatry and chairman Institute of Psychiatry World Health Organization Collaboration Center for Mental Health. And then he's the Rawalpindi chairman of the Rawalpindi Medical University, executive member Pakistan Psychiatric Society. He's none other than Professor Asad Nizami. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Hello. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good to see you,
Thank you very much,
back, and I'm glad that the television has thought of about the mental health issues. So I'm very happy that we and my team, we are here to talk about the mental health issues. You just talked about that honeymoon period. So I think when we were interacting in the morning, so I was floating this idea of honeymoon period, and this honeymoon period actually is not just
Sir, I want you to hold it over here. We're going to
Okay.
come back to you, but let me introduce the other team members as well. Ladies and gentlemen, with us, we even have a consultant psychiatrist who's actually going to be talking about people who are the frontline warriors. As I said, the doctors, engineers, you know, people who are at work, who are actually looking after all of those people who have been infected with this menace as well. Ladies and gentlemen, she's none other than Dr. Alia Khalid. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm good, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. Last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, we've got somebody who's actually going to talk about mental health in relation with children, adolescents as well, and for all of those people who are at home, because I think that mothers are actually going crazy, because I still remember that my wife once told me that, you know, I want to send my daughter to the school at the age of 2 years old, and I was like, why do you want to send her to school? So that I can sleep more. And now, so I think all of those mothers cannot sleep, and it's because of the fact that their kids are home. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about kids, we have been very lucky that we've been joined by Dr. Sadaf Irfan Abbasi, who's a consultant clinical psychologist herself from Islamabad. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk about this much needed topic.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. And sir, before we even start to talk about honeymoon, there's one question which I want to ask you all. And that is, since you are the people who are the frontline warriors in this time as well, what do you think and your family members think when every morning you're leaving for the hospital?
I think exactly the same what you have said. So every time when I go to my hospital, I think the first question they have on their mind is, are you going to go today? And I said, look, I have no option.
Yeah.
I have to be there, because we must all understand that though this is a very difficult time at the moment, but
Exactly.
again, we need very good role models.
Exactly.
If I not go to my organization, keeping all precautions, all safety measures, all safe distancing,
Yeah.
but you know you have to be there. The
Exactly.
team would not possibly follow. And secondly, I think the other dilemma is, once you come back home, they look at you as if you're an alien, because they start to look at you and they say, oh, should we disinfect you? And I say, how are you going to disinfect me? I know I'm taking my precautions.
Yeah.
So there are real life situations which is happening everywhere, because when you talk of normal individuals, or when you talk about health professionals,
Yep.
when you talk about people, you mentioned the first line fighters who are working. I think this is the same which is happening.
Exactly.
Actually, there's a lot of fear,
Yep.
and this fear factor is generating a lot of anxiety among the public.
Exactly.
And people are getting very, very upset that what is going to happen next.
Yep.
So if I relate to 2005 and 2010, when we had two major disasters in Pakistan, like the earthquake in 2005 and then the floods
Exactly.
in 2010, the difference was that it came, it happened, but then it finished.
Yeah.
Now here you're fighting with a kind of a disaster which you do not know when it is going to end.
Yeah.
So that's creating a lot of fear and scare in the community, even in the health workers, because they do not know how long are we going to be engaged with it.
Exactly.
So I think that anxiety is possibly making them to wonder what's going to happen next. This is a fear of the unknown that they all have.
Exactly.
And that is where we need to understand that if this keeps on happening, this is actually going to exhaust us all.
Exactly.
Mentally also.
Exactly.
And that's where it is increasing or issues with the mental health. You very rightly mentioned that children are at home, they can't meet their cousins, they can't interact. We need to look at two different populations that we're engaged at the moment.
Yes, sir.
One is that normal healthy community which
Yeah.
is out there, and this normal healthy community has number of sections. Like I see that there are children, there are adults, and there are older age groups.
Yep.
The more vulnerable for mental health reasons are the children and the older age group.
Okay.
Why? Because you know, children, they are not able to express what is happening.
Yep.
So it's a very, very changed environment.
Exactly.
Can't go out in the lawn, can't go out of the house, stay in the house. So they're not used to that. In our culture, they would like to go out, hang on a coffee shop and do something. That's not happening.
Yeah.
When you look at the older age group, the only news they get from the television is that in Italy, people died because they were of old age. In Spain, people died because they were of old age.
Exactly.
And frankly, I get calls from my colleagues and from my friends that their parents are now becoming anxious, they're becoming jittery, they're asking odd questions, they're saying, "Hamara aakhri waqt aa gaya," or all these kinds of
Exactly.
things. The adults, on the other hand, have their own questions, because those who are in the community are thinking, what if we get infected? What will
Exactly.
happen to our families? If we die, Pradhan Khwasta, what is going to happen to our families?
Yeah.
Those who are working with me, my colleagues in health, they have a lot of worry. What is going to happen to us? Should we be on the vent or not? Should we be saved or not?
Yeah.
And then we need to understand there's another huge population which already had a mental health issue.
Exactly.
Now, the real dilemma is that in the last two disasters that we have with the earthquake and with the floods, you could access them and they could access you.
Exactly.
Now comes another barrier. You can't access. So they are not to travel. They can't travel. This is a lockdown. So the issue is, where should they go? They're in the community and they keep on calling that what should we do next? Our visit was due. We have to take medication. What do we do? Should we continue? Should we not continue? And we should also know that a number of this population who already have a mental illness, their mental illness actually escalates during any disaster
All right.
situation.
And we're going to come back to this as well, and we're going to actually ask you what are the common mental health issues. But let me ask Dr. Ali and Dr. Sadaf as well. So when you, early in the morning, when you're leaving your places, what about your kids? What's the reaction you get for yourself as well? And Dr. Sadaf, I'm not worried about, because she's still traveling with her husband. So, you know, इन्होंने तो मरने जीने की कसमें साथ खाई हैं. So Dr. Ali, you go ahead.
As far as I'm concerned, where I work, they have actually closed down the OPDs and clinics.
Yep.
So we are at home, and we have actually switched to telepsychiatry. So
Okay.
basically, we are available online. As far as I'm concerned, I have given this message to my patients as well as general public that I can be reached 24/7.
Wow.
I've given my mobile number. They can reach me on WhatsApp. So the patients, the psychiatric patients who actually are my patients, they are in regular contact with me.
Well, that's great. So,
On
so
the
even
phone.
at home, you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
still
yeah.
talk to
Yes,
them,
of
and that's good
Yes.
that everybody's looking after them. Ladies and gentlemen, the only reason why I'm asking this question is to make a point that for somebody for whom it is very important to be actually at the job, I think they should be at the job. And for somebody who can actually get away with not being at the job, please make sure that you stay at home. Now, very quickly, because sir has actually told us from that, you know, for all the elderly people, because that's how media has projected it. But
Yes.
unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like as it's a myth which has been busted as well, because a lot of younger people have died even in Italy or probably in China or even in Pakistan for that matter as well. So he's very wonderfully explained that how the elderly are feeling. Now
Yes.
let's talk about people who are the frontline warriors, for all of those policemen who are out there, for all of those traffic wardens, for all of those doctors, you know, who are treating all of those people with coronavirus. How do you think that they are looking after their mental health?
Well, when we talk about the frontline healthcare workers,
Yep.
actually it's important for the viewers to know that who they are.
Yep.
The health workers who are actually in direct contact with the COVID positive patients,
Okay.
symptomatic patients, these are the doctors and the staff who are, let's suppose, working in intensive care units, those who are working in accident and emergency departments. There are people who are working on the quarantine facilities, on the isolation wards. So this is what the main workforce is, because they are in direct contact with the
Exactly.
infected patients and those who are suspected of infection. Actually, a study has come out from China where they are now they did a cross-sectional survey of 1,200 plus healthcare workers who
Okay.
were in direct contact with the patients. and they found that more than 50% of them they have already developed ongoing mental health issues. They are having sleep problems, they are having anxiety symptoms, low mood and distress symptoms, and some of them have developed traumatic symptoms.
Okay.
Now, why is
How can we differentiate in between these symptoms? Because we really need to let people know. God forbid if they have one of these symptoms, they really need an expert to talk about that.
Well, depression basically means low mood, not wanting to do anything, not interested in anything, having very negative thoughts about future. Anxiety makes people on edge. They become restless, they become irritable. They sometimes start having physical symptoms like tingling, numbness, headaches. That's all about anxiety. Sleep problems they can have. When you talk about children, they can present in a very different way. If they are having some
For children, I'll move on to Dr. Sadaf. Let's talk about the front line. Yeah.
Okay, so about the frontline health workers, what are their main challenges? On one hand, they're having to deal with very, very sick patients,
Yes.
and they're having
And they're seeing people dying
they
in
are
front of
seeing
their
people
eyes.
dying and also not only dying, there are some people, as you know, they are dying because they're not having access to the proper facilities. So it can be very distressing and traumatic, because as as a healthcare worker, you want to be able to help. You want to be able to do the best for your patient. On top of that, they are having to deal with the added anxiety of contracting the illness, and then when they go home, they are worried about passing it on to their loved ones. So that is an added anxiety that these people are facing. They are working long hours, and we find, and the people we have spoken to, and some of the data that is coming out, because everyone is stressed and everyone is overworked, they are not really being able to support each other.
Exactly.
You would have heard of the nurse, actually there are 2 nurses in Italy, and they have committed suicide. And the reason was they felt guilty. They felt guilty that one of them actually became COVID positive, and she thought that she might have spread the infection to her colleagues, other patients, and out of that guilt, she ended up committing suicide. So it's so important.
Not just a nurse, even a minister. That was the news
That
yesterday
happened in
as well.
Germany.
Yes.
So now I'm going to talk about how should we help as a psychiatrist. What's our role in helping these people?
And we will definitely seek help from you. And in the first place, we just wanted to highlight all the issues people can have, and then towards the end, we'll move on towards the solutions as well. So, Dr. Sadaf, moving on to you. I have 2 lovely daughters, alhamdulillah, and unfortunately, I'm not been able to go to them or pick them because I was in quarantine, so I'm just getting done with it as well. But I can see the pressure my wife is going through, and one of them is a toddler, the other one's a 6-year-old, one's going this way, the other one's going this way, and they do not have much to do within the kind of systems we live in, because we do have houses over here were just built off all of those buildings and concretes, no lawns, no nothing, no swings for them. So they do not have anything to do. And since it's modern education, so they do not get any summer vacation homework as well. So they're just free. What do you think we need to do with them?
Well, they are not that free, because the online classes, they have been started, and school is reaching out that
I think
they cannot
everybody's
be free.
taking it very
But
casually.
Yeah, very casually. But this is very difficult period, obviously for parents, because children, they are asking so many questions, and parents are in real trouble, because the questions are in, like, they are getting clingy, they are getting cranky, they don't have anything to do, they are not going to any swimming pool, any cousin's place,
Nothing,
and they are not going to school. So it's very very difficult for them. They don't know how to handle themselves. They get I have 2 sons. One is a toddler and one is 5 years old, and I said, Mama, maine bahar jana hai, I want to go outside. And I said, you cannot go outside, it's very dangerous.
Why?
And say, why? Then I have to tell, like, I cannot talk to him like the way I am talking to you. So I have to be very specific, telling him the idea of what is COVID-19, what is, then how you are going to take care of yourself, what are the precautionary measures. It's very, very difficult to maintain this thing. So yes, they are depressed. Specifically, parents are very depressed. Today I will talk about children, that how parents should help out them to manage their routines.
Well, that's great, but I think that needs to be done once the parent is able to recognize or pick up on the symptoms if the kid is portraying or showing some. So what can be the symptoms?
Symptoms can be that they are crying, Bedwetting could be another symptom.
Okay.
If a children is very anxious, or not trying to express himself or not able to express, they can be cranky.
Okay.
They cannot. They must have the behavioral problems.
Yep.
They are not listening to you.
Yep.
They are not talking to you the way they used to. So these are all the symptoms, and it could be different in every children.
All
but
right,
mostly
and I
it's-
think that for all of those parents who are watching us, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you make it a word of mouth and that you share information with everybody else. And let me just move on to Professor Asad Bhai quickly. Now, sir, you've discussed about how the elderly feel, but just talking about this topic, I think that it is very important to just highlight all the symptoms in everybody. May it be the front line, may it be the kids, may it be the parents, may it be the elderly. And do we have a national action plan? Are we going to look into that direction as well, that this is how we are actually going to keep a check and balance on the mental health issues?
Again, Shahzad, I'm glad you asked this question about the
Alhamdulillah.
National Action Plan. Looking at, again, 2005 and 2010, we had those disasters. So the Institute of Psychiatry, where I work and which I chair, is also WHO Collaborating
Exactly.
Center. And it's with the Rawalpindi Medical University. And even then, we took this initiative because you talked earlier about the honeymoon period. I'm sure I can talk about that now.
Now you can.
Okay, so for the viewers, let me tell you what is the honeymoon period. I'm sure all of you know the honeymoon period, and all of you must have enjoyed the honeymoon period. And you will be surprised that why a honeymoon period coming in a disaster.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a technical term that we use. A honeymoon period regarding mental health is because any time when you have a disaster, everybody is focused towards providing for physical health, which
Exactly.
means that, for example, if you take the current example, we are more concerned how should we create an isolation ward, where is going to be a quarantine ward, when the ventilators will come, when do we get the mask, what we will do. So, looking after the physical means.
That's true.
That's the time when you keep on looking and you're trying to settle down things. But one of the things that we forget is, as we have been talking right now, the mental health issues.
Exactly.
The mental health issues starts to emerge from day one. And that's the reason why the WHO has issued very simplistic guidance.
Go ahead.
And they've issued this guidance which says coping with stress for adults and coping with stress for the children. And I'll talk a little bit about it. The whole idea is that why they're doing it, because they know that after another 4 months or 6 months, because after 4 months, 6 months, hopefully we don't have that disaster as we had in Italy, but there will be people who may pass away.
Exactly.
There will be health workers working in different health facilities getting affected, and we do not know how many of them will possibly go to a bed
That's
or
true.
so. Let's
Yeah.
be realistic about it. What is going to happen in the community? How many cases will you have? And what is the worry that the health professionals have, that what kind of workload are we going to see in the next coming month?
Exactly.
So all this creates a lot of anxiety. So why do we need a national action plan right away is that this is the best time to get ourselves prepared.
Exactly, sir.
Our mental health services are compromised. Dr. Alia provides help on the telemedicine. I have a helpline and we have a telemedicine.
Can you share the helpline, sir?
Well, I'll give you the number if you would want. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
can always have
And,
that
and
number.
what we're going to do is that we are actually going to share it on our Facebook page, on Twitter for World This Morning. So please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, to check the pages right after the show.
So the Rawalpindi Medical University has already set up a telemedicine clinic. We on the Institute of Psychiatry have now a helpline. So I'll give you the number, share it with everybody.
will.
This is operational from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So one of my residents, who is a specialized person, is available all the time to provide service. The whole idea was to keep a safe distance.
Exactly.
Now coming back to the National Action Plan, we did made a National Action Plan in 2005 and then again in the floods also.
Exactly.
Currently, I am also an executive of the Pakistan Psychiatric Society, and the Pakistan Psychiatric Society is a combination of 700 psychiatrists all over Pakistan. So what we have already started working on is a national action plan, which in simple word means that we need to incorporate all the academic units that we have in Pakistan. That's what we did in the time in 2010 floods.
Exactly.
We've got a huge manpower psychiatrists in Pakistan. The idea is that if we are able to train all of them, get them a training to look after the needs of those in the community who have mental health
Yep.
issues and those patients who are unwell.
All right.
Now I'm going to quote another thing which possibly will be new for the viewers. This is called as a psychological first aid.
Okay.
You all know about the first aid. So whenever you have got an injury, you get a Dettol, you get the swab and you do this thing. Similarly, the World Health Organization has created a document which is called as a psychological first aid.
Okay.
Available on the website of the WHO. The Institute of Psychiatry has this precedence that we have translated it into Urdu.
Wow.
And this is available. This is not a rocket science. It has got 4 sections and it explains that any time. And it is, I am repeating, not only for psychiatrists.
Very
Not
nice.
only for psychiatrists, this is for a normal person too.
Wow.
So you can get guidance, because the idea is that when you find somebody in the community who has got problems, you should be prepared and know what to do next.
Exactly.
And for that you need a guidance. So this psychological first aid is one of those things. The Institute of Psychiatry already conducted a
So
workshop.
What do we do in first aid? Just
Okay.
for everybody who's out there.
Now, what is the psychological first aid? The psychological first aid actually is based on an appropriate communication with the community.
All right.
Appropriate
And anybody can
communication-
do that.
Anybody can do it. So the first thing that they say is that this is for everybody.
Yeah.
You can use it, I can use it, anybody can use it. It is only a systematic way of doing things.
Okay.
So the psychological first aid will tell you that if you find somebody who is anxious, who is in trouble, who is in a disaster situation, what to do,
Exactly.
how to look after them, what are their needs, what are the other facilities available that you can do, how should you make this person understand that what is happening, what
Exactly.
right communication you should have. With due apologies, I think these days we are overloaded with information. So you have got a Twitter, you've got a WhatsApp, you've got an Instagram, you've got Facebook pages. Everybody, whosoever feels like doing something, would possibly make a quick video and upload it.
Exactly.
I presume that, I'm not saying that don't do it, but possibly please make it evidence based. What we are doing is that everybody is floating their own perspective.
Exactly.
That's the reason I'm quoting that whatever I use in my conversation and your program is coming from what the WHO is advising.
Very nice.
So people in WHO have sat down, they have thought about it. Yes, they ask us to translate it if you want to do it in Urdu. They have no embargo over it, and we are doing it already. So the
Wow.
Pakistan Psychiatry Society is already moving this area.
Amazing.
So the psychological first aid will tell you, and it has got in the last section different scenarios.
All right.
That even that scenario, how would you react? What
Okay.
would you do?
Okay.
So we trained a number of our residents at the Institute of Psychiatry, and way back, it's on the 17th of March that we were able to do that.
Yep.
Now my residents are equipped. The same thing we are utilizing with telemedicine, with the other departments, the academic departments all across the country.
Yep.
We have plans that we will do online trainings to them.
That's
So
good.
once we are able to do that, I think the next step would be to look into other tiers who are providing help in the community. And who are those? There are a number of NGOs who are providing this
Exactly.
information. So those can again be trained for that. So that's the acute phase that we should be able to provide people with awareness, with knowledge, which is evidence based, and secondly train them.
And sir, I think that there is only one point over here which I would love to make, and that is that I know, unfortunately, people over in Pakistan are not very habitual of reading. But ladies and gentlemen, this psychological first aid kit will actually help you in reducing stress and anxiety within your other family members. And I think that it's a great tool which can be of advantage for anybody. And you know, you just do not have to go to the doctor directly. You know, try doing it yourself, read it through, and you know, as Dr. Saab has mentioned very rightly, I think that, you know, if you have those people who have stress, anxiety, or who are suffering from depression, just read it and just go by the book. I mean, that's it. So, you know, be in conversation with parents. So I think being in conversation can be very relaxful. May it be parents, may it be kids as well. But sir, from first aid, how do we realize that now we actually need some serious help?
Okay.
And we have a serious
Because
health
earlier
problem.
you also asked this question that when do we know that things are not right?
Exactly.
I think the simple thing which I always answer people is that when you find that you can't perform,
Yep.
because it starts from your anxiety. So
Exactly.
anxiety is like feeling upset,
Yep.
distressed, fearful, worried, and that's a common normal reaction which all of us can have. But when this normal reaction goes to an abnormality, that you start to panic. And when you start to feel that, no, I don't want to go to work, and when you say, I can't perform work, another way of, you may start to become agitated.
Okay.
You may start to have fights with your senior colleagues, like your person who's in charge asks you to come to work, you say, I'm not going to come to work. That shows that things are going in the wrong direction. And when you start to have those ideas that, look, what's the use of going? I may get the infection. I may possibly get killed. I
Yeah.
may possibly not be living.
Yeah.
These ideas, when you start to have repeatedly, or possibly you find that, no, my energy is going down, or you're getting exhausted, and you're physically well,
Yep.
that's the time when you should definitely seek professional help.
Exactly.
And that's the time when you should resort to different helplines. This is the time when you can go to a certified health professional or mental health professional
Exactly.
and get help. Don't delay that thing.
But sir, there's a very thin line. I mean, the kind of environment we have these days, in all the countries, I think everybody is not willing to go to work. So, judging whether, somebody being physically fit and not able to go to, I mean, even in my case, I would have never come if my producer wouldn't have called. So the situation is different and it's tricky. And we're going to come back to this as well. But let me move on to Dr. Alia, because the feeling which Professor Saab has explained is going to happen most to all of those people who are amongst the frontline warriors. And one day or another, somebody's going to stand up and they'll be like, bro, that's it. I cannot do it anymore. Because even the young doctors initially, there was this report who actually refused to come to work because their lives were at risk as well. So now this is your job and you have to come in. So how do we do this?
I'll be very concerned about the person who, who says that I am not managing and I just cannot work.
Yeah.
I would be, because I would not take it lightly. We were already talking about some of the suicides that happened, some of the long-term mental health consequences that these people have to face. So if they have reached a point where they're saying that they cannot cope and they just cannot work. So what's most important is, and I think as a psychiatrist and we as a community on the whole, what we can do.
Exactly.
I think as psychiatrists, and we are already doing that, we have to liaise with the public health officials on one hand, and on the other hand, people who are supervising them, who are there in charge, who, like you have a manager. Similarly, in every department, there will be a head, there will be a manager, there will be a supervisor. So these are the people who need to be made aware that these problems happen, that they are genuine, their staff, whatever they're experiencing, they're not faking it or making it up. Most people are working there quite, they are very dedicated and they really want to help. But actually, if they are saying that, go and sit and talk to them, listen to their concerns, listen to what they are worried about, and sometimes just having that one-to-one conversation helps.
Exactly.
The person feels reassured, the person feels that it's okay. And one more thing, I think our frontline health workers why are they more anxious? And I am concerned that they're more anxious because they are also not feeling physically safe. You know that there are a lot of hospitals and situations where they don't have proper physical equipment to help them and protect them, and protect them from getting the illness. And you would also be aware of the stigma now, which has now surrounded this condition. There have been cases in India where doctors and nurses and these frontline health workers, they've gone home, and people have refused to, the neighbors have basically refused entry into their compounds with the worry that they may spread that infection. So that's where the role of community comes. We as a community need to be more supportive, more helpful. If they have children at home and they're working in hospitals, we should help them with the child care. And we can do, I think what we need to do is just being there to listen. Sometimes even talking to someone helps, release their anxiety.
Exactly, and I think that's what majority of the people want. They just want to be in conversation because they're not very easy to be in conversation with their parents or their other half. So, they just want somebody to share their grievances with, which is wonderful. But very quickly, on a very lighter note, this is something I'm going to ask, since, you are actually telling us about how to, deal with people who've had mental issues who are on the front line as well. Now, since you earlier in your conversation said that, you have made sure that you're going to have a telephonic conversation with everybody, don't you think that they will actually be like that, Dr. Ali, khud aap ghar baith ke hame yahan jab hum kaam pe hame mashware de rahi hain? So how do you think that, this situation can be handled in the best of ways?
देखिए अब I'll give an example of my husband. He is in a situation where he is going to work every day. So if he has to go, he is going. If at any stage I've been called that you should come out and help, I'm more than willing to go. So the situation that we are in, it's not by choice really.
Exactly.
Our clinics are basically closed and we just cannot go. So like I was called here today and I was more than happy to come. So of course there is that thing.
That was a good comeback. Yes.
Yeah. So there is that thing where, and I'll tell you, we as doctors are feeling the frustration of being at home. We really want to be out there and be helping. So that's where, that's what I'm saying, that if we in communication with the public health officials
Yep.
and the other personnel who are involved in looking after these people,
Yeah.
if they set up a system where we can actually go out and talk to them, we can actually, give them a message that we are reachable, we are accessible, and we are there for them. So that should be hopefully enough. And like Dr. Asad said, that they have developed a helpline where these people can actually call and talk about whatever is bothering them, and there will be a professional on the other side who would be advising them in the right way.
And I think that's great and it's beautifully said as well. And ladies and gentlemen, the conversation was so interesting and meaningful that I actually forgot to take a break. So ladies and gentlemen, right now at this point of time, we definitely have to go for a short break. But when we guys are going to come back, first of all, I'm going to ask Dr. Sadaf that imagine that you have this fear of death. And this is what coronavirus has done to us, that everybody's thinking, God forbid, if I'm going to get it, I might not make it through. So first of all, how to deal with that. Second, for all of those people who are mental health experts, how do they analyze their own mental health? And I think that it is very important for a mental health expert to know that their mental health is absolutely right and then go on and treat somebody else. And thirdly, there's this one thing which I think is a little naughty, so I'm going to give it away after the short break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere, because we're talking about how to cope with all of these menaces around, and how to be fit, how to be mentally fit, how to be spiritually fit, and how to be physically fit. Let's do this, but after a short break. Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV World, you watching World This Morning alongside Shazad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a team of psychiatrists and psychologists over here today, because coronavirus 2019, ladies and gentlemen, is having a larger impact on the mental health of all of us. And whenever you're in mass quarantine, ladies and gentlemen, I think that it weighs and it will continue to have an impact, not just in quarantine, but even after 6 months, even after a year, because for all of those people who've lost their loved ones will be mourning over that, and they will have a lot of grievances. And for all of that process you're going through right now, everybody, I think it's going to have a very negative impact. But as far as everybody else is concerned, or we people are concerned, I think that it is in the first place our responsibility to make sure that we stay on the right path, that we are optimistic, and that we are seeking help from Allah Almighty as well, that everything's going to settle down. But before heading out towards the break, ladies and gentlemen, there were two questions which I wanted to ask. First, I obviously wanted to ask that people are in continuous fear of dying, and it's because of this COVID-19. Not just that. The other question, which will definitely be for Professor Saab, and that is that for a mental health expert, don't you think it is very important for them to get tested themselves in the first place, whether they are mentally fit or not, and then go on treating other people? So, Dr. Sadar, first of all, this fear of death, and it can do a lot of bad things to us as well. It can wake you up at night, it can give you sweats, you can even shout in the middle of the night, you're like, what's happening to me? So, how do we curb that?
Yes, this is another thing, another issue, you can say that, and I'm figuring out, like at my place, 2 or 3 of my family members, if one is coughing, the other one is saying, look, you are having that infection,
It's
so please
happening
stay away.
everywhere.
And constantly when 1 or 2 people are saying this thing, the person itself gets very much,
I
conscious.
mean, since
that,
I was
am
traveling,
I
I
going to die?
intentionally made sure that I'm not
Yes.
going to cough anyway.
Yes. Am I going to die? What will happen if I contract the virus and something? So this is you can see that world is globally mass quarantined
Yeah.
because of this fear that if we are going to get out, we can contain this and we could die.
Yeah.
So this brings a lot of anxiety. They are having acute stress anxiety, you can say, and people are getting depressed. They are and I will talk about my own patients who are having anxiety disorders. It is aggravating more, because people who are having health anxiety, they are becoming more anxious that what if I am going to have this
Yeah.
infection, what I will do.
Exactly.
So they are very depressed, they are having low moods.
So what to do,
they get
if somebody is actually thinking that he's going to die or she's going to die, what do you think
Obviously,
that the
we have
experts
to
need to do?
reassure them, like the recommendations which the health professionals are telling constantly. They are telling on TV screen and on media that you have to wash your hands, you have to take care of yourself, and we have to reassure the other person that, look, if you are having those symptoms, then we can say that you are contracting. But if
Yeah.
you are not having those,
You're just overthinking.
yes, you are just overthinking. So we reassure them, we listen to them, and we try to soothe them that this is
No,
not
but
a matter.
you cannot help it, and I think that
Yes.
everybody might have gone through this situation, while being on this planet. That there are times when you are so full of anxiety that you cannot help it but overthink. So what to do then? Because people say, oh, what you need to do is just sleep. And at that point of time, people cannot even sleep or fall asleep as well. They have difficulty doing that.
No, first of
So
all,
we're looking for a solution over here
yeah.
very quickly.
First of all, try to limit your information.
Yep.
Don't take a lot of media is providing, social media is giving. So try to limit. Like, fine, you have to get.
I think
up
we are
to date.
already getting limited information on COVID-19.
No. Hell of like Italy, and so many people are
Yeah.
dying. Death rate. You have to do this. You have to do with these precautionary measures. So limit these panic informations. First of all, try to get busy in different and make routines
Exactly.
the way you were doing before. At least you are not able to go out, but still you can wake up early. Try to read newspaper. Try to read any good knowledgeable book.
Exactly.
You should go, at least you can
Just
go
get out of that thought
get
process.
out of that thought, basically distract yourself with
Yeah.
different activities, give some time to your family, try to
Or cuddle a baby. I think that's
yeah.
the best thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah, which is great. So, Professor Saab, very quickly, because we're running out of time, we've last 5 minutes, we want the best solutions as well, but very quickly, how important it is for a mental health expert to get his mental health assessed in the first place.
I think extremely important, because a mental health professional does something very different from
Exactly.
a surgeon or from a physician.
Yep.
their contact with people is longish. And sometimes you do come across people where you do not find any solutions. For
Exactly.
example, somebody who says and come and tell you that, look, all my life is gone and now I want to commit suicide, I don't want to live, what should I do? So, you know, you have those stories every day. When I see those 40, 50 patients in a day, my mind is loaded with
Exactly.
problems,
Yeah.
and I am loaded, and I'm so exhausted that when you come back home, you need at least half an hour to energize yourself.
Yeah.
So in the West, they do have this system ongoing where they keep on analyzing you, and they do a psychoanalysis on you.
Yep.
They explain to you the weaknesses or
Yep.
the strengths. In Pakistan, unfortunately, we do not have that system.
Yep.
But I think the best parameter which I found out is that if you are able to follow a healthy lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
a number of my prescriptions, I died down daily
Yes.
activity schedule and healthy lifestyle,
Yeah.
which simply means, like, if you translate it to right away in these days, please, 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 people should understand that they should not have this activity of sitting in front of the television till 2 a.m.
Exactly.
They should sleep at the right time, get up at the right time in the morning, let everybody get up at the right time. So if children are at home, please ask them that this is the time they should go, take a shower in their normal routine that they have, change, sit down, have the breakfast at the right time.
Yeah.
A healthy lifestyle is going to be the solution of too many problems that we have at the moment.
Okay. And eating habits?
Eat at the right time.
Okay.
Eat and eat at the
Don't
right
munch.
time.
All right.
You do have this opportunity to do a exercise. You can do it inside house also if you have a worry
Yeah.
of going outside, but your life should be structured.
Exactly.
The WHO guidance, I'm not quoting myself, is the WHO guidance, do not spend too much time on the media.
Okay.
Yes.
Whichever media it is, you need to spend only something like a 45 minutes or a 30 minutes. Yes, be aware of what is happening, but please do not spend too much time on that.
Okay.
One very, very important thing,
Yeah.
which we always forget, in our lives we had a number of hobbies,
Yeah.
number of good things we always wanted to do, but because of our routine life we are not. Please excavate them. I
Yeah.
am using the word excavate them.
Exactly.
Dig them out, find out what you really wanted to do, and they're the ones which will energize you.
Yeah.
I have a huge group of my St. Marian class fellows. None of them is a health professional, and I enjoy being with them either online over a weekend.
It's
I
great.
make sure that I stick to them because I get all kinds of fancy information.
And I can
from
I
them.
can
Yeah.
see the smile on your face as well. So I think that that's just being normal, man, and that's what everybody needs to
So
do.
I think these are the few guidance, and again, the last thing is that we should look into credible information, which is
Yes.
evidence-based. I'm again letting the viewers know you only need to Google into the WHO website.
Yeah.
This is www.who.int/emergencies. Even if you type just WHO, I think you'll get all documents, all information there. Stick to that. Please do not pass on any information which is uncertified,
Exactly.
which has no relevance. And again, I think we need to be optimistic. In the past, we had disasters. You
Yeah.
were able to overcome that. So, inshallah, very soon we'll be able to overcome that. But please follow what the government is saying. If
Exactly.
they're asking you to stay home, please stay home. Don't play a volleyball match and don't go out for a cricket or a picnic. Please
Yeah.
understand, as my colleagues are saying, when you start to see things going drastic, then you will feel very, very worried.
Very,
So,
very
before that time comes, please restrain yourself.
Exactly. Thank
So-
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, first of all, joining us as well and to talk about and mental health issues. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you check out World Health Organization's page as well. We're going to share the helpline number. But very quickly, Dr. Ali and Dr. Sadaf wanted to say something. So, please go ahead. You wanted to say something.
When
Very quickly.
when we were talking about children, I also want to highlight adolescents. They have different mental health needs and different kind of worries. I have a daughter; she's 16, and you know, what I've noticed is last few days she was becoming more agitated, and she wasn't being herself. You know that O-level exams, A-level exams, metric and FSC exams have been cancelled,
Exactly.
and they have this extreme fear of how this going to be, what impact this is going to have on their future
Yeah.
study prospects, getting into proper universities. So that's another thing. These group of children who are older, their mental health is also very crucial and important. And we as parents and as adults look out for them and try to reassure them, listen to them, let them ask questions, and just tell them that we are there for them.
Well, that's great. Dr. Sadaf.
Okay, I will share some tips with
Quickly,
parents.
quickly.
Yes, with parents that try. This is the best time to build resilience.
Yep.
You know, like you can listen to your children, reassure them, and it's very important to practice 3 R's: reassurance, routine,
Yep.
and you can say I forgot the third one.
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
reassurance, it's routine, and I
And
think that
rest.
the third one can be
I
rest.
just add one more
Recognition.
Yeah,
Recognition. I
Stigma.
got it.
Stigma.
Please
Yes.
Yes.
don't stigmatize people who may have a virus. This
Exactly.
is not an
Yes,
HIV
yes.
virus. This is just a virus which will go away. So please, for health workers, I've got colleagues who had this virus who are still working. People should not stigmatize them. And in the community, if you find somebody, please don't stigmatize, don't blame them.
Yeah.
This is a virus which will go. So be optimistic.
Plus,
Exactly.
try to build self efficacy in your children. You know, give them different tasks,
Yeah.
practice routines, and obviously natural mood stabilizers, balanced meals, exercise, natural balanced glucose level. This will help.
And that's great. Thank you very
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
being with us. It was wonderful to have you. And to my efficacy, ladies and gentlemen, I really have to wrap up the show. We're actually going to give away the helpline numbers on our online pages as well. But there's this one question I'm going to leave you all out with, and that is that everything is shut down. Nobody's going to school. Nobody's going to universities. A lot of people are not even going to the offices. But women are still getting proposals at their homes. I think that this is something we really need to stop for now. This is not a period of getting married or looking for somebody you might be interested in. So please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. The helpline number will be on that too as well, and all of the World Health Organization first aid for the mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to share that with you as well as soon as Professor Saab is going to give it to us as well. On YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, we are PTV World. On Daily Motion, we are World This Morning. On Twitter, we are World This Morning without a G. Please make sure to look after yourselves, your loved ones. Make sure that you work out on daily basis, even if it is for 30 minutes. Read a book, pray 5 times. This is the best time. So I think that we are on a short leash already. And what we need to do is that we really need to pray for Allah's mercy as well. Good morning. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.